Donald Trump had a private call with Putin about the war on Ukraine. Meanwhile, the Senate confirmed Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence, someone who has taken action and statements appearing to align with Russian interests. And finally, Trump just handed one of Russia's biggest cybercriminals.
We're delighted to swear in our next Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Most of you know Tulsi. She's extraordinary courage and exceptional patriotism. She's devoted her entire life to public service, and I've watched her for years on different shows and everything. I said, she's a woman of great common sense, and, we like the common sense. It's a word that's being used a lot. I think we started it.
Tulsi Gabbard's confirmation as Director of National Intelligence wasn't that smooth. Both the Republicans and Democrats questioned Gabbard on her judgment. She's been known to criticize U.S. intelligence on Syria and has taken controversial stances on Russia. Yet, Gabbard passed with a 52-48 vote. And guess how many Democrats are in the Senate right now?
And as you pointed out in your statement regarding the confirmation of Tulsi Gabbard, there was one Republican who voted against the nomination of Tulsi Gabbard. It was Senator Mitch McConnell. Similarly, how does the administration view Senator McConnell? Can he be a partner in the president's legislative agenda? Are you disappointed that he voted against not only Tulsi Gabbard, but also Pete Hegseth to be the defense secretary?
I think we're greatly disappointed in any Republican who chooses willfully to vote against the president's exceptionally qualified cabinet nominees and picks to lead his America First administration.
Other than the GOP being cyberbullied by Musk to do so, she passed because Republicans want someone who will shake up the intelligence community because they think that it was weaponized against Trump.
So now, could this nightmare of a war finally come to an end? President Trump revealing in an exclusive interview with the New York Post that he has spoken with Vladimir Putin by telephone about ending the war in Ukraine.
Donald Trump has claimed he could end the war on Ukraine. And on a recent private call with Putin, he said that he's reaching an end to the war, bypassing diplomats and intelligence agencies. And of course, his Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, said,
"We want, like you, a sovereign and prosperous Ukraine. But we must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective. Chasing this illusionary goal..."
This means Crimea gone, and eastern Ukraine being up for negotiation. Feels like a sweetheart deal, and Russia might get what they want. Plus,
we start the day's other headlines with the latest on a multinational prisoner exchange. U.S. officials say that Belarus released 3 detainees from jail today, including 1 American. That's part of a broader swap that saw the U.S. free Russian cybercriminal Alexander Vinnik. He was suspected of funneling billions of dollars through his cryptocurrency exchange and pleaded guilty last year to a money laundering charge. In return, Russia released American schoolteacher Marc Fogel.
Now, this isn't the first prisoner from Russia to be arrested for a small dose drug crime. And for all morality on drug use in other countries, I like to look to Ben Shapiro. Ben, how do we feel about Americans bringing medical cannabis into Russia?
Does this mean that she's a political prisoner in the same way that say, many other people in Russia are political prisoners? Seems doubtful to me. She did, in fact, violate drug law. She is not a person who's being put in jail because of her politics.
Great. Go to Russia, break the law, your fault.
So Marc Fogel had essentially been kidnapped by the Russians. The Russians have been taking American hostages. They've been condemning people to penal servitude for minor crimes. This is true of Brittany Griner, the WNBA player. The difference is Joe Biden had to trade a Russian arms dealer to get her back, as opposed to Marc Fogel, who came back for nothing, actually. According to the Washington Post, President Trump thanked Vladimir Putin on Tuesday night for releasing American teacher Marc Fogel, who was freed after 3.5 years of Russian imprisonment on drug charges in an exchange earlier in the day. President Trump welcomed Fogel back by ushering him into the White House, and then he also invited him to stay the night in the Lincoln bedroom.
Funny, when it's Biden, it's bad, and when it's Trump, it's good. And I think both of these situations are pretty tricky on their own. On one hand, I think it's important to keep criminals in prison. And on the other, I think it's good that we got Brittany Griner and Marc Fogel back from foreign prisons. It just feels like both of these swaps were good for Russia. And at least the Biden administration can say that they spent most of their time undermining the Russian economy and agenda. Unfortunately, this isn't just about one intelligence appointment, one phone call, or one prisoner swap. This is about Trump rewriting the rules of intelligence and diplomacy. And we don't know what the consequences are going to be. This is Reaganism on coke, and it is dismantling our union. I control you, and I control elites. Good night.